Robin Hood is one of the most beloved characters in all of British folklore, and it's really not hard at all to see why. A rich war veteran who decides to forego his land and titles to provide for the poor and steal from the rich. Not to mention, Robin Hood is just a fun character, and generally a bit of a badass. However, that doesn't stop Sony's plans from being anything but strange. Basically, they were planning in the mid-2010s to do a Robin Hood cinematic universe. Holy shit. So, what if it had been made? In October of 2014, it was reported that Sony had apparently spent $1 million on a pitch for a Robin Hood movie. The pitch was made by Corey Goodman. A screenwriter, his only credit by that point was Priest with Paul Bettany, which is just the greatest movie ever made, and his future credits are The Last Witch Hunter and Underworld Blood Wars, which again are just the greatest movies of all time. This sounds like a great idea already. Now, he was working on this pitch admittedly alongside Jeremy Lott, who authored In Defense of Hypocrisy, which is a good book, so at least half this team sounds good, am I right? Now, the project was brought to Sony by Michael DeLuca, possibly with plans to produce or direct the movie himself under his own company's umbrella. He apparently was set to oversee Hood's entire production, but not just Hood. Oh no, that would be too easy. No, because you see, if you're wondering why so much money was being thrown at this, it was because of two words that Goodman and Lott were using when they pitched the project: universe and Avengers. Because basically, and this is once again very, very weird, they were pitching the idea of a Robin Hood cinematic universe. They compared the tone of this universe to Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible, and it possibly would have been a heist movie. Now, they called Robin Hood and his merry men the superheroes of the Middle Ages, and that's the kind of tone they wanted to reflect. The plan was to start off with Hood, which would have been an origin movie, not too much unlike the Ridley Scott version from 2010. I'm guessing in order to get a lot of action scenes in this movie, we'd likely see him fighting in the Crusades alongside Richard the Lionheart, and maybe they would have even gone a medieval First Blood route, documenting the struggles of moving on from war. Although then again, maybe not, since this was meant to be the beginning of a new MCU, so maybe the tone would be lighter, I'm not sure. Either way, it was going to be a swashbuckler with superhuman-like stunts as seen in the Fast and Furious movies, but Hood was only to be the beginning, as his merry men would actually have not been in Hood. No, because the plan was actually to give each member a solo movie. So yes, that does mean we would have gotten movies for Will Scarlet, Little John, and yes, even Friar Tuck would have gotten his own movie. Oh, that's perfect. I've always wanted a Friar Tuck movie. Please give me one. And weirdly enough, there actually doesn't seem to be any plans for a Maid Marian movie, which indicates that she probably would have just been in Hood from the beginning. Either way, these movies would all show their individual skills before the long-awaited team-up movie would finally happen and be in the vein of the first Avengers movie. Now, Sony was admittedly in a really weird place in October of 2014. The future of their Spider-Man projects was up in the air after the unexpected failure of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which ultimately nixed all of their plans for a cinematic universe. Clearly, Sony were hoping to play catch-up and learn the hard way that Spider-Man leading his own universe possibly wasn't really the best idea in the world, but then again, Robin Hood leading a cinematic universe it sounds so much more plausible, doesn't it? Now, despite this, plans for Hood were actually never even made. So yes, we have a cinematic universe that managed to not make a single movie. At least the Dark Universe got The Mummy. Now, basically, there was a bit of a war at this point over who can make a new Robin Hood movie first. Disney were actually trying their hand at it with Nottingham and Hood, which would have been a Pirates of the Caribbean-like franchise, and this ultimately also never got made. In the end, the only Robin Hood movie we got was by Lionsgate and starred Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx, and it's a movie that exists, I guess. And so those were Sony's weird-ass plans to make a Robin Hood cinematic universe. So what do I think of it? No. I'm sorry. I'm trying to ease up on Sony. I know they were in a weird headspace in late 2014 because they were not expecting The Amazing Spider-Man 2 to fail, and they had to nix years and years of plans, and all of a sudden they didn't have a way of catching up with Marvel like they clearly wanted to do. So I understand why they, hit the panic button and were like, Robin Hood cinematic universe? Oh, let's give it a try. try. Like, I get why they were doing that, but like, on a conceptual level, Robin Hood as a cinematic universe doesn't work at all, in my opinion. A trilogy, sure. Like, I can imagine a trilogy of movies, like one about Robin Hood and the Crusades and then returning to England, then another one about him forming the Merry Men and first taking the fight to Prince John, and then like a third one where he defeats Prince John with help from a returning Richard. Like, I can imagine them doing that as a trilogy, and honestly, I kind of feel like they should. I feel like there's plenty of story to tell, and since they always give the Robin Hood actors like one movie, they never get to tell the whole story. So I would love a Robin Hood trilogy, and Sony could do a Robin Hood trilogy for sure, but a new cinematic universe, like, no. Like, honestly, would any of you ever go see a Will Scarlet movie, a Little John movie, and would anybody in the goddamn world want to see a Friar Tuck movie? I'm sorry, but I just can't picture it. I can't picture it being successful. Like, okay, let's say that Hood was a success. Let's say that the first Robin Hood movie in the cinematic universe is a huge, huge hit in the same vein as the Avengers. Most common people don't know the names of the individual Merry Men. Like, I've talked to a bunch of people to see, you know, what people know about the Merry Men, and most common people don't know who Will Scarlet, Little John, and Friar Tuck are, you know? So I just can't imagine fans of Robin Hood even going to see those movies because they wouldn't associate it. I mean, even if those movies happen to be good, I just think they would be financial failures, honestly. And yeah, you know, I think that the story of Robin Hood, you can stretch it out. Like, it's been done in TV show form. I absolutely love the Jonas Armstrong Robin Hood TV show. But, you know, as far as the cinematic universe goes, I think if you take the focus away from Robin Hood, there's only two characters I can imagine you put the focus on instead. And that's Marion and then, like, the Sheriff of Nottingham or something like that. I cannot imagine them making solo movies for the Merry Men. Like, it just sounds like a really, really bad idea. I'm sorry. Like, I would love, you know, for them to franchise Robin Hood. I'm a huge Robin Hood fanboy, I'm not gonna lie. But I can't help but think this sounds like a bad idea. You know, studios were just so desperate to play catch up with Marvel in the 2010s. You saw these cinematic universe attempts happening left and right, and really the DCEU was the only one that really worked at all, and that only sort of worked, in my opinion. And no disrespect to Robin Hood, who's been around much longer than DC, but like, most people I think would rather go see a DC movie than a, you know, Friar Tuck movie. So I'm sorry, I just think that conceptually this is a bad idea. It could have worked really well as a trilogy, but it just doesn't sound like a good idea as a cinematic universe. And then there's the fact that, you know, you've got Corey Goodman involved, and no disrespect to the man Corey Goodman, because I'm sure he's a good man. Okay, I'll stop now. I'm sure he's a good person, but like, I'm sorry, but everything this guy touches is not good. And I don't know if his involvement would ruin this necessarily, but like, I can't imagine it leading to anywhere really that good. I ultimately think that Disney was the one that had the right idea. Nottingham and Hood actually sounds like a really good idea. You know, a swashbuckling franchise in the vein of Pirates of the Caribbean with Robin Hood and the Merry Men? That sounds awesome. Sign me up. I actually am a little bit more disappointed that one didn't get made. This one, I think, is a good thing it didn't get made, because nobody would have seen it. It probably would have been a big failure like the Arthurian cinematic universe was, you know, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Everybody remember that movie? I just think it would have been like that. So, no disrespect to Robin Hood. I love Robin Hood, but the idea of doing a cinematic universe with him is just not a good idea, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of this? Would you have actually invested in a Robin Hood cinematic universe, or would you have given up after the first one? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear all about it. And hey, if you guys think a Robin Hood cinematic universe is possible, then tell me how you would do it in the comments. I'd be very interested in reading that. Also, give this video a thumbs up, share it with all of your friends on all your various social media platforms, and I'll see all of you in the next video.